Do you know why Marvel is spending nearly $1 billion on Avengers? Doomsday? The reason is simple but serious. This movie is not just another Avengers film for Marvel. It is a turning point. After Avengers Endgame, Marvel released a huge amount of content, but slowly the emotional connection with the audience started to weaken. People were still watching the movies, but the excitement, trust, and anticipation that once defined Marvel were not as strong as before. Marvel realized that if the next Avengers movie failed to deliver something truly massive and unforgettable, the audience might permanently lose interest. That fear is the foundation on which Avengers Doomsday was built. When people hear the number $1 billion, they usually imagine expensive action scenes and heavy CGI, but in reality, this money goes far beyond what we see on screen. Avengers Doomsday is the result of years of planning, rewriting, restructuring, and long-term decision-making. This movie is designed not only to tell its own story, but also to reset the direction of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for several years ahead. Marvel was not trying to make a safe movie. They were trying to rebuild confidence in their universe. That is why the budget kept growing with every major creative decision. A large portion of this massive spending comes from actor contracts. An Avengers movie automatically means top-tier stars, and top-tier stars come with complex and expensive deals. These deals are not limited to basic salaries. They include profit-sharing agreements, future appearance commitments, schedule compensation, and strict secrecy clauses. Many actors involved in Doomsday were not signed for just one movie, but for multiple future projects. That means Marvel is paying today to secure their cinematic future tomorrow. Some characters and appearances are still unannounced, yet their contracts are already locked in, and all of this silently adds pressure to the budget. Visual effects are another major reason why the cost of Avengers Doomsday climbed so high. This is not a story limited to cities or planets. It operates on a reality-breaking scale. The movie involves collapsing dimensions, multiversal destruction, and events that visually represent the end of entire worlds. Marvel knew that even a single poorly executed CGI scene could damage the credibility of the entire film. As a result, multiple VFX studios were hired to work simultaneously, with scenes being redesigned, re-rendered, and rebuilt several times. Visual effects are not just about visuals. They require time, technology, and endless revisions, and each revision pushes the budget higher. Story development is another hidden expense that most people underestimate. Avengers Doomsday was not written in a single draft by one writer. The story evolved through years of development, with multiple creative teams exploring different versions of the narrative. Villain motivations were rewritten again and again to ensure they felt threatening not just physically, but philosophically. Marvel wanted the audience to question whether the Avengers could even win this time. Emotional moments were refined repeatedly, and audience psychology played a huge role in shaping the final script. This level of storytelling takes time, and time in Hollywood always translates into money. Secrecy also plays a surprisingly expensive role in this project. Marvel is extremely protective of its story, especially for a film of this scale. To avoid leaks, multiple fake scenes were filmed, different endings were shot, and many actors were given only partial scripts. When test screenings revealed that certain scenes were not landing as expected, Marvel ordered reshoots. Reshoots are one of the fastest ways for a budget to grow, because they require the return of actors, crews, visual effects teams, and production staff. These costs are rarely visible to the public, but they are a major reason why the final number climbs so high. Marketing is another area where money quietly disappears. Avengers Doomsday does not rely on loud promotion alone. Instead, Marvel uses a controlled hype strategy, carefully deciding when to speak and when to stay silent. Global campaign planning, teaser testing, strategic reveals, and long-term audience engagement all require enormous investment. Even silence, when planned on a global scale, comes at a cost. Marvel understands that modern marketing is not about constant noise, but about maintaining curiosity, and that strategy is far from cheap. The most important thing to understand is that the money spent on Avengers Doomsday is not meant only for this single movie. This film is designed to define the next generation of Avengers, introduce future threats, and lock the direction of the multiverse storyline. If Doomsday succeeds, Marvel's upcoming projects automatically gain stability and momentum. In that sense, this one movie is carrying the weight of multiple future films on its shoulders. Avengers Doomsday is more than an expensive production. It is a test of Marvel's relevance. It will determine whether audiences are still willing to emotionally invest in the Avengers, or if the golden era has truly passed. $1 billion can either bring Marvel back to the top or become the most expensive lesson in Hollywood history. The final answer does not lie with Marvel, it lies with the audience. One more major reason why Avengers Doomsday is becoming so expensive is audience expectations. Marvel is no longer just competing at the box office, it is competing with memories. People still remember a time when Avengers movies were not just films, but global events. That emotional legacy creates immense pressure. Because of that pressure, Marvel cannot treat Doomsday like a regular superhero movie. It is being designed as a full-scale experience. Every scene is crafted to feel important, as if its impact will be felt later on. When a studio fears disappointing its audience, it starts spending extra time and money even on the smallest details. The scale of this movie is not limited to its story alone. Avengers. Doomsday is being planned in a way that allows it to connect perfectly with multiple future Marvel projects. This means many scenes are not created just for the current narrative, but to lay the foundation for stories that will unfold later. Sometimes the audience only sees a few seconds of footage on screen, but behind that moment are months of planning, visual effects work, and coordination. This kind of long-term storytelling slowly pushes the budget higher and higher. Technology also plays a huge role in increasing the cost. With every Avengers movie, Marvel experiments with new filmmaking tools and techniques. In Doomsday, advanced digital sets, virtual environments, and complex motion capture technology are being used extensively. Working with these tools is not easy. Crews need special training, new workflows have to be created, and many experiments fail before they succeed. These technical challenges may not always be obvious on screen, but they consume a massive amount of money behind the scenes. Another factor that makes the movie expensive is creative risk. Marvel knows that repeating the same old formula will eventually bore the audience. That is why Doomsday is experimenting with story structure, tone, and character arcs. Every experiment involves trial and error. Some scenes are written, shot, and then completely removed, only to be reworked from scratch. This process may lead to better storytelling, but it is extremely risky for the budget. Coordination is another major expense in a project of this scale. Hundreds of people are working together on Avengers, Doomsday, costume design, action choreography, sound design, background score. Editing and visual effects are all interconnected. Sometimes a small change in one department forces multiple other teams to redo their work. For example, a slight modification in a character's suit can affect lighting, visual effects, and even require reshoots. When these changes happen repeatedly, their financial impact becomes massive. Marvel is not spending money only on visuals, it is also investing heavily in emotion. The goal of Doomsday is not just to impress the audience, but to make them feel that the stakes are real. Making loss, tension, and uncertainty feel believable is extremely difficult. It requires powerful performances, perfectly timed background music, and precise pacing. Marvel could have rushed these elements to save money, but instead it chose depth, and depth always comes at a cost. Most importantly, through Avengers. Doomsday, Marvel wants to remind audiences why the Avengers once felt special. This movie is not being driven by money alone, but by urgency. Every dollar spent carries one purpose: to rebuild audience trust, reignite excitement, and make people feel that the Avengers still matter. That is why Marvel continues to work on this project, keeps making changes, and keeps investing without hesitation. For them, Doomsday is not just another movie. It is a chance to prove their relevance once again. So friends, these are the biggest reasons why Avengers Doomsday is turning out to be such an expensive movie. I've tried my best to explain every point in a simple and clear way. And if you still have any doubts or questions about this film, feel free to share them in the comments. A lot of hard work went into making this video. I'm not asking you to like or subscribe, just leave a small comment and tell me how you felt about it. That alone gives me the satisfaction that the audience understands my effort and is genuinely enjoying the content.